from the commissioner on February 8th. Could you put your hand up if you've seen that letter? How many of you have not seen that letter? If you have not, I'll try to have some copies out there for you. That letter spells out the timeline for next school year and your planning and the types of activities and expectations they have for you, as well as for the 2013-14 year of implementation. It's important for you to look at the department's website periodically to see announcements. By the end of March, they're scheduling to have an RFP out, or a notice of grant opportunities, for districts to sign up to be the next round of pilot districts. They're looking for 30 more districts to participate. There'll be some funding in support of that. There are 11 districts now engaged in the pilot process with the whole teacher reform. The principal reform, they're delaying the rollout of that a little bit. We'll wait and see what happens with some of the legislation has to catch up with some of the policy decisions. So it's our goal to bring you timely, accurate, authentic information. Everyone here is getting the big bucks in their districts, but not from us, okay? They're volunteering their time, and I can't commend them enough, and I want to thank them for coming and sharing what they have learned on their journey to implementation of this teacher accountability system. Today, we are on this beautiful campus, free of charge to us again. That's why there's no coffee or water. I hope you're okay with that. If not, you'll get some information about where you can get lunch here on campus. But I want to first introduce our host, Dr. Samuel Rosenberg, who's the dean here, and ask him to share with us his vision for how they can collaborate and support your work at the K-12 level. So, Dr. Rosenberg.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the hidden jewel in New Jersey, Formative College. How many people have been here before? Oh, quite a few. All right. So I hope that today you get a chance to look at our beautiful campus. It's really gorgeous, and we'd love to have you here. I understand that Elaine may be planning to be here in the summer, so we'd love to have you in the summer as well. We're very committed as a New Jersey public liberal arts institution to support educators, and this is one example of what we can do, and we'd like to forge a further partnership with you and continue to improve, if you will, the relationship between the state colleges and K-12 education. I don't know if you know, but at Formative College we have a teacher education program that has been recognized nationally as one of the top in the Northeast. Our TEC evaluation a few years ago was extremely successful, and in fact the self-study that we prepared here was used as a template throughout the country for other teacher education programs that were seeking accreditation. Let me tell you a little bit about our graduate programs. We have a master's degree in educational technology, which has been very successful, as we've had it for a number of years. We have a brand new master's degree in educational leadership, whose director is Dr. Brian Chinney, and he'll talk to you in a couple of minutes. And we just submitted to the state a proposal that has gone through the initial stages, and we hope to launch for a master's degree in special education. Hopefully we'll be able to do this by the fall. If not the fall, hopefully the spring. I'd like to encourage you to speak to your staff, your students and friends, and encourage them to explore and get in touch with us about our really high quality graduate programs. Formative College is like I said, is recognized as a public liberal arts institution in New Jersey. We offer, we're one of the best deals in the Northeast and in the country recognized by all the different rating organizations. We have about 5,600 undergraduates. We have a fairly substantial, large and very comfortable residential facilities for students. And we're situated in a beautiful area in New Jersey. But the best part about Ramapo College, I think, is the quality of its education. Our faculty, our staff are totally dedicated to students. Our average class size is about 25, and students are able to forge very close relationships with the instructors. And we feel that we provide a fine education that prepares students to be lifelong learners. So I was asked to give you a little bit of information. We have a cafeteria right here, which has right here, right behind you, that has a fixed price. I believe it's about $5 or so for all you can eat. They have salads, they have hot food, they have pizza, they have soups, and so on and so forth. There's also, they're brewing some coffee now here. There's a little store right behind us as well, in the same building. They're brewing some coffee for people who might want to buy a cup of coffee. For those of you who want more, something like a food court, we have a food court which is a few, about a block down, if you want to consider it a block. I'm from the city, so I count in terms of blocks. But it's a little bit down the road here, by the student center. There's a food court, and there you can have pretty much whatever you want, individual items. So you don't have to buy the whole package. You can have a sandwich, or you can have a slice of pizza, whatever. So all those are available to you, and during lunch you can just come here or go over there. We're really, truly happy to be the host for this conference, like I said before, and we'd like to see you again. Keep us in mind. We want to grow our graduate programs desperately. We have spent a great deal of time and energy and a little bit of money putting these programs together, and we'd like to see them grow. So think about Ramapo College when you're thinking about graduate education. I'd like Dr. Chinny to talk to you a little bit more about the Educational Leadership Program, and then you can proceed. So thank you very much for being here. We'd love to have you, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Dean Rosenberg. Good morning and welcome to our beautiful campus of Ramapo College. It certainly brings us great satisfaction to be host for such an important event in support of educational leaders throughout New Jersey. You know, it can be argued that no other time in our proud history of New Jersey public education has presented such daunting challenges for the educational leader than the present. I don't have to tell you that, right? A rapidly changing global economy that requires a different skill set of its laborers, the exponential growth of knowledge and the ongoing emergence of new technologies, increasing demands for student safety and related HIV mandates, budgetary shortfalls, and increasing student performance standards, demands for instruction of the highest quality in every classroom, and overall accountability, which brings us here today, just to name a few. With that said, it can also be argued that there has never been a time when the role of the educational leader has meant so much to the children we proudly serve. After all, I've yet to come upon a high-performing school that was absent of a high-performing leader. Consider the research. According to Leithwood and his colleagues, it turns out that leadership not only matters, it is second only to teaching among school-related factors in its impact on student learning. According to New Leaders for New Schools, nearly 60% of a school's impact on student achievement is attributable to principal and teacher effectiveness. And in addition, schools making breakthrough gains are led by principals who have carved out a radically new role for themselves, including responsibility for school-wide practices to drive both student achievement and teacher effectiveness. While we never doubted our importance, the research certainly does bring credible proof to these assumptions. Nearly 2 years ago, Ramapo College of New Jersey enthusiastically launched its Masters of Arts in Educational Leadership program. Essential to its overall design and desired outcome, we wanted to be absolutely sure that the successful completion of this program yielded a school leader of the highest quality, an individual with the utmost knowledge, skills, dispositions, and tireless perseverance. That's the more difficult to teach to, right? Tireless perseverance to effectively lead her or his learning community in this most unpredictable, complex, challenging, yet I believe exciting contemporary age. To this end, we built the program upon a pedagogical foundation that promotes experiential and authentic-based learning. While theories and principles of learning are certainly examined, each course curriculum is organized around an authentic performance task that allows for the application of these theories and principles in real practice. Furthermore, students spend over 300 hours in administrative internship immersed in our world of educational leadership. These essential authentic-based learning opportunities would not be possible without your continued collaborative efforts and support. And I mean that with all sincerity. To all of you who have provided such support to date, we offer you our sincere thanks and appreciation. And to all of you who will enthusiastically support our efforts subsequent to today, again, we offer the same. Proudly, we'll graduate our first class of educational leaders in May, and if ever given the opportunity, I would offer each of our graduates the highest of recommendation without reservation. And I see one or two in the audience with us today. To close, I'll humbly borrow the words of a few wiser than me, words that have guided me through the more trying times in my role as educational leader. First, there's a Chinese proverb that speaks the message, in every challenge there exists an opportunity. We just have to discover it. I encourage you today to continue to search for these opportunities amidst our challenges. These next words are borrowed from a gentleman named Robert Evans. Evans offers the following job ad, fictitious, but job ad, in an Education Week article that he wrote back in 1995 to capture the essence and reality of the credentials necessary to meet the demands to qualify for the position of school leader. And I quote, "The school leader wanted, a miracle worker who can do more with less, pacify rival groups, endure chronic second-guessing, tolerate low levels of support, process large volumes of paperwork and work double shifts, often 75 nights a year. He or she will have carte blanche to innovate, but cannot spend much money, replace any personnel, or upset any constituency. On behalf of Ramapo College, we thank you for your leadership and the tireless efforts that you put forth each day on behalf of the communities and, most important, the children you serve. We wish you a most productive and enjoyable learning experience today, and we thank you."
Can you give him the access code?
I was going to give you this in the beginning, but I figured you might not listen to me, so let me give it to you now. The access code for the Wi-Fi, you can type this, and lowercase is fine, RCNJ, Ramapo College, New Jersey, RCNJ, EZ, ENT-5, that's the username again, RCNJ, EZ, ENT-5, and the password, RCNJ, B as in Brian, ERRIE. Again, RCNJ, BERRIE. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we're ready for this exciting program that would not be possible without the support of Evan Erkberg, who is the consultant from TeachScape, who is all over the state of New Jersey and in many of your schools. And Evan, we can't thank you enough. Thank you very much. Now, if you would pull your agendas, we're ready to start. And someone has my agenda. Let me see. Let me borrow your agenda here, just to make sure I got it. Okay, now, we are pleased to have our keynote speaker, which will be Stephen Anjavali, who is the superintendent of Fort Lee School District. And any of you have had the good fortune of hearing Steve present before. He is not only motivational, but he is so realistic in what he describes to you as the essential actions that are needed to reach the goal that you have in mind, that we all have in mind. And that is for you to successfully adopt the correct model for your school and train and get the buy-in and acceptance needed to move forward. And also will be Lou Stonacher, who is the Professional Development Coordinator for the Monroe School District. And if any of you were fortunate enough to hear the Monroe District present on data, did any of you have the good fortune of coming to that session where the superintendent and his team shared how they're changing the whole culture of the district around data and feedback to teachers so everyone understands how to make the decisions essential. Then we'll have a panelist in the afternoon. I saw Joseph Ricca, the superintendent. Joe, put your head up from East Andover, and some of the other presenters are not quite here yet, and we'll introduce them as they come in. So, we are ready for you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was some introduction. I have to tell you, first of all, Dr. Davis, if anybody had actually heard me speak before, they wouldn't have been here today. So we can say they certainly have. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Very important topic we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk a little bit about where we sit today in New Jersey education, where we should be headed, and I want to talk to you about the success that my district has had in Fort Lee since invoking the Teach State program and rolling out the Danielson model and improving the management of our human capital. And when talking about coming up with a fancy title that looks good on this presentation today, maximizing human capital is exactly what came to mind. You and I, as administrators, are all in the same business. We are in the people business. Okay, we are in charge of big people, and we are in charge of little people. And so our goal as administrators has to be to get the most out of our teachers and out of our staff so that we can develop the best little people possible for tomorrow. So this is all about maximizing our human capital, and that's something that we take very seriously in our jobs, each of us. But it's some, when we took over in Fort Lee, that may not have been the clearest outline model, and perhaps we shared some of the same experiences. First and foremost, how do we get here today? Okay, we talk about teacher evaluation. It's always been a topic of discussion, but it's become a national topic. You heard President Obama recently dedicated $5 billion in his current budget plan to improve teacher effectiveness. Well, if we start to look at some data, and I'm not going to bore you with data because data gets really, really boring sometimes, but we start to look at data when we look at things here, our attainment over time has stagnated. Okay, if you saw the Apple keynote speech, I always enjoy the Apple keynote speeches, and if you didn't see that on January 19th when they released iBooks, I encourage you to download it on YouTube or watch it on their website. And they talked about our place globally. Now we're 30th in reading, and remember, 80% of stats are made up on the fly. But so forgive me if I'm just a bit off, okay? And again, we got to lighten the room. We're administrators. We have tough jobs. We have to smile a little bit because if not, we cry. But so we're 30th reading globally, or 31st in reading. We're 16th, 17th, 18th in science. We're 16th, 17th, and 18th in mathematics. Now, when we look around the room and when we walk through our schools, I have a hard time believing that we've gotten less intelligent over time. But what I feel is we failed to keep up. And that's why we're all here today, because our job is, it's nice to be ahead, but it's no time to rest. And I think that's what we've done as a nation, and that's what we've done in education. And everyone in this room is here to make that adjustment and make that change. If we look at our NAEP scores, which, by the way, I think that's also going to go by the wayside, the nation's report card. If you notice that, we're going to be looking at a PISA system that's going to be measuring us globally, which I think is also very important. But again, our scores have flatlined and stagnated. And we looked into our schools. I'm a proud graduate too. I forgot to mention that. We talk about the education program. I'm a proud graduate of Ramapo College. I was one of the first teachers for the teacher education program. So to digress for a minute, it's an outstanding program. You may not think so by the time I'm done, but again, trust me, it's an outstanding program. And I encourage you to encourage your ed leaders, encourage your up-and-coming aspiring teachers to look into these programs. I'm proud to have a stepdaughter here as well. But if we talk about if you're familiar with the widget effect, okay, the study that came out, it's evident in each of our schools. Again, this is not, a patent is not held in Fort Lee or in whichever district you're in. When we started to look at 81% of our administrators and 58% of teachers, when surveyed, said, okay, there's at least one tenured teacher in our school that's underperforming. Now, how many of you would agree with that? I can say I would agree. If all hands don't go up, I think you might be texting or something or Twittering. But the point is, there's at least one teacher in each of our buildings who is underperforming. When we talked about 43% of their colleagues also said that there's a tenured teacher who should be dismissed for poor performance. Now again, how many people would say that? There's a teacher in our building should be dismissed. If all hands don't go up, we're texting again. It's okay. The district, you'll get to the district later. Don't worry, you'll get to that email. And yet again, if you've read the stats, and we were just discussing with Dr. Russo, one of my colleagues here, before about the cartel and the Waiting for Superman movie, when they talked about 99.999% of teachers are wonderful and beautiful and they're the best and they're the greatest. Well, if that's truly the case, and again, we've got outstanding teachers. If that's truly the case, then why have we failed to keep up with the rest of the world? And that's why, again, why we're here today. At least half of districts surveyed as part of this study, okay, had not dismissed a single non-probationary teacher, a non-tenured teacher. I took over a district in 2007 in Sussex County. They had never non-renewed anyone in the history of that school. I don't know if anybody can commiserate with that, but not one person was ever non-renewed. That's, I'll tell you, my first boss said to me, hire tough. That's your job, hire tough. I don't know if they actually did that, but I got to tell you something. They must have had an amazing track record. But that, unfortunately, that wasn't the case, because some of the folks that did accrue tenure, which again is a privileged position that demands humility and respect, didn't deserve that tenure, at least from my perspective. And we looked at 41% of administrators reported that they had never denied tenure to a teacher or non-renewed a non-probationary teacher. It's sometimes tough. Those conversations are tough, aren't they? Okay, it's a very uncomfortable situation to sit across the table and say you're not good. And that's not the exact language we want to use. We certainly don't come out and say things like that, but you're not getting it done. And so that's what we're going to talk today a little bit about, how we've worked in our district to ease those conversations, to ease those uncomfortable conversations, again, to our ultimate goal, to improve student achievement. You remember this? The solution's got to be easy, right? I get these, anybody ever get an email from a parent? I get these like probably twice a week. You need to fire Mrs. Jones because she gave my kid a bad grade. I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith, it's not that easy to do. Well, I don't believe it. I work in human resources and I let people go all the time. I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith, it's not that easy to do. Okay, anybody had those conversations? Okay, you certainly have. Okay, we need to get rid of this one, or we need to get rid of that one, or whatever it is. So it must be easy. Just fire the bad ones. We need to fire bad teachers. This is from the Newsweek magazine from March 10th, 2010, where we had very, very intelligent writers who put this together. And they talked about the article that I kept a copy of, which talked about why we must fire bad teachers. And it talked about there is no other profession where workers are so insulated from accountability. And these are two non-educators who wrote that article. I want to be clear about that. Two non-administrators who wrote that article. And they gave their opinions. And a couple of key features here. They talked about school failures are teachers and their union's fault. That's their fault. It's not anybody else's fault. And much of the ability to teach is innate. Now listen, you're a good teacher. That's the way it is. You're born that way. You don't learn to become a good teacher. You don't learn to become a good administrator. You're just either good or you're not good. And firing the really bad teachers is what we need to do, because that's going to restore our profession, the prestige to our profession. Because I don't know about you, but I felt pretty much under attack for the last couple of years. Okay, and I'm tired of it. And that's one of the reasons that, again, we're here today to promote our profession, because, again, it is a privileged position. And I'm honored to hold this post every single day, as I'm sure each and every one of you are, because we have the most important jobs in our society. Forget about Steve Jobs, and I love him. Forget about everybody else. We have the most important jobs because we shape the future. So again, they also talked about, or failed to acknowledge, they failed to acknowledge a couple of important things. What really makes a great teacher? Well, first and foremost, again, adequate preparation and clear expectations. Now, when I started as a teacher, I can't necessarily say I had either one of those two things. I went through a terrific teacher education program. I learned a lot of methodology. I learned a lot of theory. And then I got there and said, now what? Anybody ever felt like that? Of course you did, because that's exactly what happens. All right, you learn the theory. There's a quote that says, and if I make it up and I miss it, I apologize. Knowledge comes from a book and wisdom comes from experience. And that's exactly what we learn as educators. We gain that wisdom, we gain that practice, that practical knowledge of practice as we are in the field. Knowledge of pedagogy, again, second to none. We must make sure our teachers have strong pedagogical backgrounds and foundations. Again, that goes without saying. Support from colleagues and supervisors. Anybody have like a really toxic teacher's room where they're really supportive, or you have like a great teacher's room where everybody loves each other and they're supportive and I'm really happy about that great project? Well, that doesn't always happen. What often happens is the folks who poke their head up, who are going an extra mile, sometimes they get a little bullied and they're not so sure. I'm not sure, I don't want to do that. So that's important. We need to talk about that because that's about our culture, and that's a culture of mutual respect and mutual professional growth. And again, ongoing PD. And I don't mean, okay, today we're going to learn about computers, everybody. Today we're going to learn Word. That's not ongoing PD. And you know what my favorite PD model always is? We're going to do this today, and then we're going to forget about it forever. How many people have those models? And it's okay. You know, it's not to be disrespectful to anybody. We're all in the same. None of you hold the patent on any of these